All right. So, okay. It's already 6 p.m. and we are going to start with the session right now. All right. Today's the topic is creating lesson plans as per NEP 2020. And as I always discuss in all my webinars, what should be the expectation setting, for today's webinar? That's very, very important. Okay. What should you expect out of me and out of the webinar today? I'm very sorry for that. Out of me and out of the webinar today. Just a minute. Yeah, very sorry for the interruption. All right. So again, we'll be having many more webinars, on NEP, and this is, just one of those webinars we're gonna have today. What should you expect from today's webinar? We'll learn a little about, what NEP 2020 focuses upon, right? What are the recent, very important changes, which NEP 2020 came up with, and while preparing a lesson plan, you as a teacher, what are the elements, what are the steps you should focus on, and which are the things you should consider, because without lesson plan, without proper curriculum planning, I think none of us, not even a teacher, a professor, a normal student, or anyone, or even a principal, can run, its own systems, right? Systematization is very, very important. Okay. So that is the basic agenda, of today's topic, just to clear it out before we start with the webinar. Okay. I hope I'm perfectly audible and all of you are catching up as I'm saying. Is my voice modulation, my speed of speaking is okay with everyone? Yeah. Okay. Okay, got it, all okay, all right. Okay, take it. Before we move ahead, just a very quick message from the homework app and team. You get participation certificates, okay, for every webinar you attend. Right now, you all are being the participants of this webinar. Even this webinar is certified in nature. Now, what you have to do for your certificates is, during the end of the webinar, I'll send a form link to all of you, okay? Just fill the form link, okay? And within 24 hours, you will get the certificates via email. The next is, the homework app and team is organizing a smart teacher festival, but more about it we'll discuss during the end of the webinar. This festival basically gives you a chance to earn reward of rupees 2000, and also to earn official certificate from the side of the homework app and team on various levels: bronze, silver, gold, etc. Okay. So that was a quick message from the homework app and team. Quickly starting with the topic and not wasting any further time. Okay. NEP 2020, a little introduction for all of you, those of you who don't know, or those of you who do know, just a little catch up, for all of you before we move to the crux of the topic. Okay. NEP 2020 was introduced on 29 July 2020. As you all know, or you don't know, it's a replacement or it's a modification of the National Policy of Education, the NPE, जो कि गवर्नमेंट ने 1980s के समय लॉन्च किया था. Okay. So there was another policy before NEP which was launched during the 1980s by the government, and this is the first time they modified the educational policy in 2020, released on 29 July. Okay. The National Education Policy 2020 launched on 29 July 2020, right? It outlines the vision of India's new education system. It focuses on 5 pillars: affordability, accessibility, quality, equity, and accountability to ensure continual learning. So to just explain the same in very simple words, NEP 2020 is some basic focus is, everybody should be able to get education in India. Education should be affordable for all the people coming from different background, different, financial backgrounds, different family backgrounds, different cultures, etc. It should be accessible to all. Whatever education we provide in our Indian education system should not be just quantity. As a school, I'm teaching 8 subjects, per semester, or 18 subjects per semester. There should be quality in whatever you teach. There has to be practicality in whatever you teach. NEP 2020 focuses on moving from rote learning to more of a practical learning, right, जो कि experience based है, or art based है, sports based है, based on storytelling, or other aspects, of the NEP 2020, which the government has introduced, for schools across. Okay. And as we know, CBSE, or NCERT is the one board which is following very closely, the NEP 2020. And that is why it's so important for us to understand the NEP 2020 as a policy. What does it say? In short, we'll discuss that, and then we will move to the lesson plan in detail. Okay. Moving ahead. Okay. NEP 2020 has its own salient features. Okay, there are important features of the NEP 2020, right? Some of the features which I found to be very important and on the top of the list is, ensuring universal access at all levels of school education. As I said, one pillar of the NEP 2020 is equity and accessibility, right? So there has to be a universal access at each and every level of education. Okay, early childhood care and education with new curriculum and pedagogical structure. Earlier, Indian school systems before NEP 2020, we all have grown up studying in schools which followed a very traditional environment, which followed a very rote environment, wherein teachers just followed one basic rule, of pen and paper to teach the students. Teachers were not trained enough to bring out, practical quality education. And those teachers, even who were trained enough maybe before 2020, then got a basis, or a grounds to bring their skills, in front of the students in the classroom. So NEP 2020 ये focus किया कि early childhood care and education. From the childhood, you have to give the students, an exposure which makes them flexible enough from the mindset, as and when they grow up and move out in the world outside, right? That's very, very important. One aspect of NEP 2020 again is also to make the students, ready from all the aspects, a holistic development of the student's personality, so that when they step out in the outside world, they're not, facing problems, okay, to face the situations, or they're not lacking the skills which are required, out there or demanded by other people. All right. Third point, attaining foundational literacy and numeracy. Okay, everybody has to be literate enough, should know the basic numerical calculations, which are required out there. Simple things like plus, minus, addition, subtraction, these are the kind of, basics, everyone should be equipped about. That is one another salient feature of the NEP, providing education to all with affordability and accessibility and with quality, right? Reforms again in school curricula, and pedagogy. Too much focus, on reforming the curriculum. I'm stressing on this word, curriculum. Curriculum is a broader term, which is used for, an yearly plan, for the teacher's lesson, or a semester wise plan for the teachers. Lesson plan is just one part of the curriculum. Yeah. So reforms in school curriculum and child pedagogy, your teaching styles, how you reach the children. What do you think is the best method to teach them? If your class has 40 to 30% of average students as per statistics, every class has around 30 to 40% of average students. So are you able to reach those students as well with the same techniques of teaching and with the same techniques of learning? Very important. Okay. Again, multilingualism and the power of language. Some basic languages should be known to all, including mother tongue, Hindi, and which is right now our national language, right? So Hindi, and which is our mother tongue mostly, right? Sanskrit, or certain other language subjects like Bengali, Odia, Madrasi, etc., along with English. And if the students, of your school are more inclined towards moving out of the country after their standard 12 education to, for their post graduation or undergraduation, you should be, as a school, as a teacher, updated enough ki languages like French, languages like German, languages like Russian, or languages like the Brit English language, it should be taught to the students, from early childhood, so that when later on they move out, from your schools, they develop holistically and they don't face any hiccups, as such, to adjust themselves, okay, with the other people out there. All right. Again, we have equitable and inclusive education. So obviously education should be inclusive. No matter the child is coming from an ST background or a general class background or a high society, or what we say as the lower backgrounds of the society, or from different cultures, everybody is welcome in the school, right? No matter which gender, which sexuality, which culture, which caste, which financial background you belong to, education has to be equitable and inclusive. At the end of the day, we all are a human being, and we all deserve certain basic rights as education in our country. Okay. Robust teacher recruitment and career path, right? So robust teacher recruitment and career path is basically, one has to be very well aware, where the career, of the teachers and the students are going, as and when, we proceed with the education. As a teacher, if let's say you are, a multilingual teacher in the school, teaching French, German, and Russian along with Hindi and English, where do you see yourself after 5 years? Where's the plan? As a student, why are you studying in this school? After you pass out, standard 10 or standard 12, what are your plans for the future? Where do you want to apply, and are you ready to apply to the universities you are planning for? Very important is, planning your career path. And robust teacher recruitment is, you recruit teachers on the basis, of quality, and knowledge, right? It's very important to train the teachers first, to make the teachers quality, first, before we appoint such teachers, in the schools to teach the same subjects or same curriculum to the students. Okay. And assessment reforms, obviously, if everything is changing, how can we think the assessment will be the same? Okay, if the marks is 58 for the student and the marks is 40 plus for other students, the student is the first in the class. I mean, still our education system works like that, but there has to be reformations in assessment as well. Students should just not be assessed on the basis of marks or academics. There are many other things as well, which can help assess a student. There are sports, there is extracurricular activities. Maybe some students, who are more indulged in other kinds of activities apart from academics, also have the brains to catch up in class, but it's just the method of teaching, with which they are not able to catch up. Okay, that can be one reason for the same. Okay, I'm just seeing the chat box right now, too many messages. Okay, all good evenings. Yeah. Good evening to all of you. Pleasure to have you all here once again. Now we are just trying to discuss a little about NEP 2020, the salient feature it talks about, why the features are salient. And after we understand this, and the update which NEP 2020 gave recently, we'll quickly move on to the very basics, of the lesson plan, which is very important. Okay. Moving to the next. Okay. There was a May announcement by the NEP 2020. I had one webinar, the homework app and team, and I had one webinar on the same earlier as well. Anybody here know what was the May announcement of the NEP 2020, the new update? Because that is very important for us to understand how to develop, a very effective lesson plan for our students, right? Anybody here knows what was the May announcement of the NEP 2020? Quick answers, teachers. If you know, just a yes. If you don't know, a simple no will work. Quick answers, and we'll quickly move ahead. Yes, Rosalind G. Yes. No, Vaishnavi G. No. Okay, too many no's. All right. Got it. Okay, then this is gonna be very interesting. Okay, those of you who have attended my previous webinar might be knowing, but those of you who haven't, okay, I have put the slides again for you so that you catch up, right? NEP 2020 released, an announcement in May, right? And which again the CBSE is very closely following. Okay. Earlier, there was a set pattern and percentage of questionnaires which 9th and 10th and 11th and 12th students were following for the board examination. But now the pattern has changed, a little as per the recent announcement. And how do we consider the new update in the NEP to make our lesson plans more effective and much more, practical, for our students, right? Because that is what will be required in the particular, creation of the lesson plan, from now onwards. And that is why this topic is so important to discuss today. Okay. NEP 2020 का May announcement क्या था? Okay. The news was there's a higher weightage, okay, on competency based questions from now on. As you all know, CBSE used to follow a set pattern, right? 9, 10, 11, 12, term 1, term 2. This is the pattern. This is the percentage of questions the students can expect. Okay. what NEP did was, right now, for both 9 and 10 and 11th and 12th, it increased the percentage of competency based questions. Two reasons at the core, okay? Why it did this? Higher weightage was given for two reasons. These two reasons are, first was to move from rote learning to more practical learning, which will lead to the overall development of students and provide them life skills which are needed in reality in the outside world. That is the first reason. Second reason why the weightage was increased is competency based questions are basically those kind of questions which makes a student think, apply their creativity, apply their logic when they answer a question. These are those kind of questions which are based on real life situations, and the students have to connect the concepts they learned from book and paper in the real life. How can they apply this theory? How can they apply this formula, in the real life scenarios? Okay, so to give them an exposure and to develop some real life skills, higher weightage was placed on the competency based question. Very important. Okay, now what changes occurred? I'll just show you with the help of a simple table which is there on the screen. As you can see, this is a comparison table I have made for standard 9 and 10. Okay, standard 9 and 10 के लिए, you can see here are the particulars. ये हो गया model 2021-2022. So last year, this was the model which was followed. As per the new announcement, we will follow this particular pattern from this year onwards. Okay, 2022, 2023. And what is the change? So term 1, class 9 and 10. Earlier, the particular pattern consisted of MCQs, case-based questions, reasoning type MCQs, and 30% weightage for MCQ or competency, based questions. Now what has happened? Minimum 40% weightage is given to competency based questions. Now, one thing we need to understand here is, earlier there was a maximum weightage of 30%, but now the minimum is 40%. Yani ki 40% will be there only, competency based questions. More than 40% can also come in the question paper. Now, in which forms it can come? In the form of MCQs, case based questions, source based questions, etc. Okay, objective type kitna ho sakta hai? 20%, and short and long type questions will come as 40%. So 40 plus 20, 60, and 60 plus 40, that makes 100% of your question paper, the new model. Okay. Also, for practicing all these types of questions, teachers, I will show you an application a little later in the particular webinar, which provides you everything: the MCQ based questions, the case based questions, objective type, subjective type question, competency based questions are on the way, and it has assertion based questions, everything. There's an application which is free of cost. It doesn't even charge you 1 rupee, and it also aligns with the NP 2020 very closely. Do use the application to make your students practice a lot of these kinds of questions, because now you have to brace yourselves, right? The pattern has changed a little. Again, for term 2 also, there were 30% competency based question, situation based, case based, and open ended, short and long. And model 2022 and 2023 is the same. 20% is objective, 40% is competency based minimum, and another 40% is short and long answers Q&A. Okay, that is for 9 and 10, the change which occurred in the May announcement. Okay, moving ahead, comparison for class 11th and 12th. Okay, what change, what announcement has been made by the NEP 2020? Yes, Sunilji. Competency questions are basically those questions which are based on real life scenarios. And somebody just told, what is the difference? The difference is, ma'am, earlier for 9 and 10, 30% maximum weightage was given for competency based questions. 30% was maximum weightage. The major difference is you get 40%. Now the competency based questions which will appear on the question paper will be minimum of 40%. So minimum 40% will be there, but more than 40 can also come because the word minimum is there. That is one of the major differences. A 10% hike, for a certain kind of questions, right? That means the way you make your students practice, the questions will also differ from now on, right? Because the percentage of a certain type has increased. Okay. Rekha ji, source-based questions is basically, it's more of a same thing only, as and subjective, question. So source-based questions are also more or less same like the subjective questions only. Okay, they can be based on specific topics. Let's say topics like if you are a biology teacher, maybe topic like the plant system, reproductive system, physics teacher, topics like speed, motion, time, etc. So following the various sources, the questions are prepared. Okay, that is basically source-based question. Again, another name for the subjective objective type. Reena ji, in May announcement, if you read the CBSE's May announcement, right? Term 1 and term 2 will be same this time. Okay. That is what I'm trying to tell you. Exactly, Sunil ji. What I'm trying to tell you is term 1 and term 2 will be same this time. If you see, I'll show you the slides again. Okay. You can see the composition for term 1 and the composition, okay, sorry, composition for term 2. The model for 2022 and 2023 will be same for term 1 and term 2. Okay. Earlier CBSE, or let's say the NEP 2020, had two different structures, for term 1 and term 2, right? But now in 2022 and 2023, the structure is the same for the question paper for term 1 and term 2 both. Okay, if you see the slides very closely, you will understand what I'm trying to say here. This is the difference, right? And if you see here, it is the same as above, but there's a difference because the percentage of competency based questions has increased. Okay, coming to comparison of 11th and 12th, again, for term 1, if we see, there was 20% competency based questions, and assertion reasoning type, totally it was based on 100% MCQ, case based MCQs again. But now if we see, the pattern changed to minimum, again the word here. Okay, it's a minimum of 30% competency based. Okay, again 10% hike here as well, and the word minimum. Okay, in which form it will be? It will be in the form of MCQs, case based, source based questions, etc. Okay, objective type questions, again the students can answer from their own perspective, their own explanation and rationale, is 20%. And as for the model of 2021 and 2022, we have short and long Q&A of 50%. I'll just pause here for 15 seconds, so that all of you can see the slide, and learn, what is happening and what is not, right? And if there's any doubt, then I'll see the chat box for the same. I'll just see the chat box now, just a minute. Atharvaji, mark structure, I am not very sure of, so I can't answer the same right now. But yeah, this was the one thing I came across, and I really, really wanted to discuss the same. Okay. Okay. Yes, teachers, yes, there is no term-wise exam this year. That's what I'm trying to explain to all of you, that the model is same as above. The entire pattern is the same. Earlier, CBSE has term 1, term 2, and there were two separate patterns. But now, if you see the slide on the screen, the pattern is the same as above. There are no term 1 and term 2. It's all the same. That is why I paused for all of you to see the slide. Yes, there will be annual exams, okay? That is why I have written it's the same as above. There are no term 1, term 2 wise. It's the same as above, as you can see on the screen. There's just one pattern and one annual exam. There are no terms. That is what changed, okay? And in the May announcement, the NEP 2020 also said कि competency based questions का जो percentage है वो change होगा. Okay, I'm very sorry if I missed the point. Is the slide not visible to everyone? Uh, can everyone hear me? Is the slide not visible? Okay. Yes, Rimi ji. MCQs and objective type questions. MCQ questions are the choice based questions, Rimiji. So wherein you get 4 to 5 choices for each question, option A, option B, option C, option D. Objective type questions are those questions which have an objective nature to it. Matlab ki you as a student can answer the question from your own rationale and your own perspective. Objective type questions jo hote hain, these are basically these has a crux. So let's say I have given a question based on the topic of reproductive system. Now the answer will be reproductive system only. They have to write what is there in the book, what is there out there, but they can give their own explanations. Subjective type questions is each and every answer will be different from each other. There is no one particular topic on which you write the answers. I hope this is clear. Okay, what is objective, what is subjective, and what is MCQs, Ramiji? Yes, Renuji, case based questions are there. That's very, very important. Okay. What about languages? Realme G, can you just elaborate on the same languages as you are saying? Okay. Also, I hope all type of questions are clear first. Okay. What are MCQs? What are case based? Case based questions, if any of you are missing, case based questions are those kind of questions wherein the questions are presented in the form of a case, or in the form of a story. It's more of a paragraph which is taken from the book, or let's say a short question which you prepare on your own, and the students have to find out which topic in particular is being talked about in the case, and then answer accordingly. I will show you one particular application wherein you can access all these things and can see many examples of the same, okay, in just a little more time. All right. So right now, I hope I'm clear and you all are trying to catch up as what I'm saying. Term 1 and term 2, I have just put it here to show you that what was earlier and what is now, right? The new model. Okay, there are just annual exams, there are no terms, and there's one model which is being followed. And in that model, the percentage of competency-based questions has been increased. Okay, that was a basic major announcement and basic major change which came in May. Okay. Shivani ji, yes, I have a declaration from the NCERT and the government. If you want, I can share the resource during the end of the webinar. Okay. Case study, share lesson plan. Yes, Onam ji. So basically, we discussed a little about the NEP right now, and what was the change. And now we'll discuss very quickly, about the lesson plans as per the NEP 2020, and what are the basic, elements and the basic keys, which you all have to follow. All right. Quickly moving ahead with the same lesson plan. We all know is a part, of the curriculum at large, right? Curriculum kya ho gaya? I want to prepare my yearly curriculum for the students, my quarterly curriculum for the students, in which this everything which is mentioned. Okay, there are 8-9 chapters I want to teach in the next 6 months. These many hours and these many resources I will use, etc. That is a curriculum, a set of lesson plans. Particulars of the curriculum, or let's say parts of the curriculum in particular is basically the lesson plan. So it's a part of the curriculum itself, right? Lesson plan basically means when you start a new topic, when you start a new chapter in your class, in what way are you going to teach your lesson? In what way you are going to brace the students with your explanation? Okay. So 8 elements of the lesson plans. Okay, exactly. The first is grade level and subject level. Since many of you, I think, couldn't see my PPT, I'll just read it out quickly for you. One of the first sections of a lesson includes the grade level and the subject of the lesson you are going to teach. If you share your plans with anyone or your administration would like to see what you are teaching, they should know who the intended audience of your lesson is and what subject they will be learning. In simple terms, there are certain basic elements of each and every lesson plan which you as a teacher needs to follow. Okay, grade level hai, subject level hai. Okay, so grade level and subject level is basically before creating any lesson plan, make it clear on the top of the lesson plan, or maybe the heading of the lesson plan PDF, that which grade you are teaching, standard 6, standard 7, etc., which subject you are teaching, biology, chemistry, etc. So that one thing is clear before we move ahead to other things. The next thing is type of lesson. Okay, again, I'm just reading out quickly for all of you who couldn't see my PPT. I can see many messages in the chat box. So yeah, this is a brief section that explains the type of lesson you're going to be teaching. Okay, as mentioned in the section above, typically a lesson is for one period, a week, or contains information for an entire unit. Many teachers can choose their lesson plan or lesson type depending upon their own preferences, but some may need to adhere to the rules of the school district. Okay, so very brief explanation or summarization again after the grade and the subject level, that what is your lesson all about. If it belongs to a particular subject like biology or chemistry or science or SST, summarize the lesson in at least 5 to 6 words, that okay, this is the lesson all about, and this is what the students will learn, the learning outcomes, and the objectives, right? Which type of lesson it is, okay, which is the type of element it focuses upon. Is it focuses upon the element of, let's say, integrity or honesty, or maybe whatever element your lesson typically focuses upon, right? That is the next element. You have to be very very hi everyone. I can't send lesson plans from my end because I'm not allowed to do so, right? Since I am an expert in lesson plans, so this is the one reason I'm taking this webinar today. But since I coordinate with many schools out there, I can't send you the lesson plan, but I can explain you how to make a lesson plan, and I will also show you a model lesson plan during the end of the webinar, so that you all have an idea. Okay, so don't worry about the same. I'll show you how you can plan your own sessions. Okay. The third element of a lesson plan is basically the duration. Okay, duration or the time, as we say. Okay, so duration is base of a lesson plan explains, how long your lesson is going to take to complete. If it's a daily lesson plan, it may take the entire length of a typical class period. If it's a weekly lesson plan, it may take the total amount of time you see your students in 1 week. If you're teaching a unit, it might be 20 to 15-minute sessions. You may need to adapt your plans according to the teaching styles of your students. Okay, very very important again. Okay, the duration of a lesson plan, right? You have to also state key, if I teach this particular lesson in class, what will be the duration for the same. Okay, that's very very important, because you have to bound yourself with time as well, so that the students have an idea, the administration have an idea, and you have an idea that lesson 1 of my subject biology for standard 7 will not take more than, let's say, 16 hours to teach. Okay, 16 hours is the amount of time I have allotted for my lesson plans. That is the third element. So all these elements are very important to make an official lesson plan without missing out anything. As we saw, the first element was grade level and subject level. The second is type of lesson and the summarization of it. The third is duration. The fourth element is the topic. Okay, the topic of your lesson plan. Okay, let's say for example, if you teach science and are focusing on an entire unit, the topic would be genetics. If you were teaching a unit on genetics, you were creating weekly lesson plans rather than the entire unit at once. The topic for 1 week might be genetic changes. So topic is very important, to define. All right. And what this point says is that lesson plans can be created in different ways. Okay. या तो either you can choose one chapter at once and divide the same chapter into different parts or 5 or 6 parts, and name those 5 or 6 parts differently with 1 or 2 words. Okay, that part 1, part 2, part 3 of the same chapter, part 4, part 5, and so on and so forth. Okay, or what you can do is, as in the example you can see on the screen which I have written, if you teach science, right, and you're focusing on an entire unit, okay, the topic would be genetics. So either you can do is you can take a subject in general for your lesson plan, and then you can write different words, okay, or different chapter names inside the subject, right? Like एक chapter हो गया genetics पे, one is on reproductive system, one is on plant system, one is on let's say some other things like stem or cell, etc., right? Different chapters under the same subject. Or you can take a chapter name, let's say genetics, and you can divide the chapter into 5 or 6 parts to create your lesson plan, whichever works effective for you and your classes. Okay. Again, another element, the fourth or fifth element, is objective. Okay, very important and very crucial that before you teach any lesson, before you teach any chapter, you have to define the objective behind the same. Okay, the objective behind the same, as in if I'm teaching genetics to students, if I have chosen this particular book and particular chapter of stem to teach to students in my biology class, or the chapter of integrity and honesty in my, let's say, social environmental class, why am I doing it? What is my objective or agenda behind the same? Maybe because I want the students to get aware of the basic simple terms like what is a stem, what is a cell, what is the mitochondria, what's the granula and other parts of the cell, so that when they move ahead, they can understand the human body, in more details, right? Or maybe if I want to teach them integrity and honesty, why am I doing it? So that when they go out in the world, outside, and when they face other people, they know which principles to hold on to and which principles are the, other ones they cannot give up, their entire life, right? Maybe these can be certain objectives and agenda, behind each and every lesson, behind each and every topic you try and teach your student. Another element of the lesson plan is the material. Okay. Basically any materials, any sources you are trying to refer to, maybe for lesson 1, which is the chapter, let's say motion, okay, time study and motion in physics, okay. For this chapter you are referring book A, and you are referring website BCD, and you're also taking help of another teacher, let's say teacher Harsha. Okay, I'll just use my name, teacher Harsha. So what are the sources, what are the materials you are using for this particular lesson or this particular topic? You have to mention it somewhere in your lesson plan, in a detailed way. I'm using this book because this book has great reviews. Other 100 schools around India use this particular book when they teach this particular topic. Maybe this book is highly referred, by the experienced faculties all around for physics. These are the particular websites, which are reliable and verified in nature, right? So the information which they provide here has not to be double checked or triple checked from my end. So that is why I'm using this book, this particular website, and I'm taking the help of another teacher, let's say teacher Harsha in our school, who is an experienced faculty in physics, to give a brief of this, particular topic or particular chapter to the students in the beginning of the class. Okay, again, very important to display the materials and the help and support you are having from, Mridula ji, the session is recorded and everything will be uploaded on the homework, on the YouTube channel of the homework app. Okay. Another element of the lesson plan is directions. Okay, very important. Again, those of you who cannot hear me, see my PPT, I'm reading it out once, so that if anything is possible for you, maybe to see my PPT or maybe just to hear me, do the same, please. Okay. This is a section that takes the most time to complete because it contains minute by minute directions for the lesson. Directions include what you intend to do at the beginning, I'm very sorry for that, middle and end of the session. Some teachers prefer to give general directions rather than explaining each minute. You can refer to your administration's policy for confirmation on how to complete the directions in your lesson plan. Okay, directions is very important, but what is direction? It's another element, one of the 8 elements of lesson plan, which is very important to follow. If you are implementing, let's say, your lesson plan, if you are not implementing exactly, but if you're formulating, okay, a lesson plan for topic A in any of the subjects, you have to be very clear that I have divided topic A into 10 parts. Okay, there is A1, A2, A3, A4, and so on and so forth. Topic A, I have divided into 10 parts. And for each of the 10 parts, I have taken 2 hours. Okay, so my time duration is 20, right? You have to be that clear when you formulate your lesson plan. And these are the directions. And then you have to explain, step by step, that when I teach A1, that is part 1 of my lesson A, I will use, let's say, storytelling. I will use, role play. I will use, I will make use of some, documentaries and digital movies which are available online on Netflix and Amazon Prime to make the class interesting and to make the students understand the crux of the chapter. I will also use the, I will also take the help of other things like art integrated learning, or anything, integrating drama in the classrooms, role on the wall, etc. Okay, so you have to give directions in stepwise. I'm using this and this technique when I'm teaching part 1 of lesson A. When I move on to part 2, 30 minutes of my class will be characterized. Okay, so since I'm taking 2 hours for each part, let's say 30 minutes of my class is characterized, with the normal simple rote learning. The last 10 minutes is maybe characterized, with gamified quizzes, rapid fire questions, group discussions, group plays, group activities, ice breaking sessions, kind of these activities to make students recapitulate whatever is taught in class. Just a very brief example of how you can give directions, for your lesson plans as well. These are the directions when you tell stepwise what are you going to do in your lesson plan. Okay, how will you teach the students? And another element of the lesson plan is assessment. Okay, very important. After each part, so let's say I'm taking the same example, if lesson A has 10 parts and you taught all the parts, right, there has to be certain kind of assessment rule, which you follow, maybe during the end of the session, or maybe let's say last 10 minutes of each session, right? So you have to divide and plan your class timings very precisely, that 20 minutes I have to teach them from book, 10 minutes I have to show them something on the projector or engage in activities like role play, etc. And the last 5 minutes or 10 minutes will be for assessment. Students will assess themselves. You can use a simple Google form or any other tool if you have in hand for assessments, right? Take comments from them, take feedback. It's very important, because if they're not able to catch up with the teaching style any particular teacher is following, it's very important, to understand the same and change the same while you have time in hand. Okay. So another element of the lesson plan is assessment. So those were the 8 elements, of the lesson plan. Every teacher has to keep in mind. I'm showing all the elements once again: assessment, okay, directions, materials, objective, topic, duration, type of lesson, and grade level, subject level. 8 elements of the lesson plan, which is very important for all the teachers to keep in mind when they create one. Okay, try not to miss out any element while creating your lesson plan if you want it to be effective and a holistic lesson plan. And a very known concept to all the teachers is the SMART objective, of a lesson plan, right? SMART is not only applicable in lesson plan, but in many other areas, of life in general as well, right? SMART is basically followed, in terms of goal setting. So not only in lesson plan, but whenever you try to set a target for yourself or a goal for yourself or an aim to achieve in a specific period of time, SMART objectives is the one, which always comes first to be discussed, right? Any objective, right? Any goals, any aims you set has to be specific in nature, very specific and particular. It should be measurable. You should be able to measure kitna, how much time, how many students are there, and if I exceed the time limit, maybe I have to deduct some time from the other lesson, because the number of hours per semester, or per year is limited, which is given to a teacher, right? So it should be specific, it should be measurable in nature, it should be attainable in nature. So if I am saying lesson A has 10 parts and I'll teach each part, taking 2 hours, it should be an attainable goal for me, not something which I just, shot a bow and arrow in the air. Okay, it should not be like that. If I'm saying I can do it in 2 hours, I should be able to complete part, one of lesson A in 2 hours with the utmost effectivity and quality. That is attainable. Okay, you have to see how much potential you have to cover the same with good, explanation to the students. Okay, it should be relevant in nature. Again, the lesson plan shouldn't be irrelevant. That total number of hours is 60 and you're taking 30 hours for teaching one lesson. Just an example. Okay, so it should be relevant in nature. It shouldn't sound irrelevant to the teachers, or to the administration at large. And it should be time bound. Again, very important, as I said, time duration is a very important element of a lesson plan, which should never be eliminated. Because if you don't bound yourself with time, no matter how a good teacher you are or how much you have planned your lessons, always you will run out, and above the time, you actually would have set for yourself, and which would again cause a hindrance, for the other subjects as well, or the other lessons, in your subjects later in the semester or later in the year. Okay. Teachers, don't worry, the entire session is recorded and the same will be uploaded on the YouTube channel of the homework app. So you all can access the same from the YouTube channel of the homework app. Nothing to worry. Session is recorded in nature, and yeah, everything is there. Okay, you will not miss out anything again. Assessment topic, Jaya Chandran ji, sure. I'm just going back to assessment. Yeah. So assessment is the last and the 8th element, of a lesson plan. Okay. Why assessment is very important is, nowadays, let's not talk about nowadays, because education has changed a lot. If we talk about schools and, the teaching style before 2020, it was very traditional in nature. Okay, teachers used to come, they used to teach a topic, and yeah, just go to another class and take their other classes. Yes, and students also sitting in one class studying a particular topic and then moving to other classes. Assessment is basically, which is very important, is if you're teaching lesson A, okay, which has, let's say, 5 parts, okay, and you are saying that every part will take at least 2 hours for me to teach. So I will take 2 hours for the 5 parts which is there in lesson A or chapter A in my subject. Now, you have to plan as a teacher when to carry out assessment of the students and assessment of your own self, which is very, very important. Seeing the today's scenario of the 21st century. Okay? You as a teacher should be able to plan your classes so effectively that the last 5 minutes, let's say, of each session, you are giving the students, a feedback form to fill, maybe paper and pen, or maybe using Google Forms, Google Forms, or type forms. There are various types of forms which you can use, right? You make a simple feedback form with 5 to 6 basic questions. How was the class? Were you able to catch up what I was teaching? Was it any part of the subject you're not understanding and you want me to repeat? Questions like this, at the end of each session, will actually help the students to reach out to you directly or indirectly. Many students are not able to reach to teachers in front of the class because they have peer pressure. They feel that other people will make fun of them. They will say that you are studying a lot, and things like that. So students sometimes don't pick up their hands and tell, hello ma'am, hello sir, I'm not able to understand because the speed is too fast. The teaching style is not suiting me. Maybe we should try something more catchy, something of an audio visual or work learning model, something which collides with it in the classroom. So assessment helps the teachers to know where they are going wrong, and it helps the student to realize where they were not able to catch up in today's class and what are the things they want the teachers to repeat. On the basis of all these feedback you take in all your sessions or during the end of the lesson, like one feedback you take, you can have at least 2 hours or 1 hour of doubt session based on the same topics, wherein you explain the topics again and you ask the students to ask you the doubts. Just an idea again. But yeah, this was my point of assessment. Okay, I hope it's clear, whosoever was asking it. Okay. So till now we have discussed a lot of things. Actually, we discussed about NEP 2020, the salient features of the same. We understood about how NEP's 2020's release a new announcement, and the CBSE, the board pattern structure has changed a little bit, wherein the weightage on the competency based questions has increased, and it changed from term to the annual. Okay, then we studied about what are lesson plans, what are the 8 elements of the lesson plan, the SMART objectives, which are always there when you talk about goals, lessons, and plans. And now we will see the steps to create a lesson plan. And after this, I will show you a dummy lesson plan. Is it fine with everyone? And anybody who has missed any part of it, don't worry, the entire session will be recorded and posted on the Homework App channel of the YouTube. Okay. All right. Starting with how to create a lesson plan, right? The first is the introduction plan. Okay, so right now we discussed that what are the elements which should be there in a lesson plan. Now we are talking about the process. Okay, elements are there, it has to be there, but now what process to follow to design my lesson plan? So if I am teaching lesson A or topic A under my subject of science or biology or mathematics or English, the first thing which I should focus about is introduction. How will I introduce the topic to the students in class? Introduction, summarization of the topic in the first or second class is very, very important because it gives the student a very basic idea. What should we expect out of the next 1 week? For this particular lesson, these are the topics the teacher is going to teach us, and this is the kind of learning I'll get out of it. But it's very important that how innovatively and how effectively you provide the introduction to the students so that you are able to catch their attention before starting. Okay, as you can see on the screen, introduction can have the amalgamation and culmination of various things. You can use storytelling for your introduction, you can use creative thinking, creative aspect for your introduction, you can use art integrated learning wherein you use art, craft, colors, drawing, painting, creativity, model making, etc., to make your students learn. Practicality, sport integrated learning can be used, wherein you teach them, the concepts of certain kind of sports. Let's say, taekwondo, is one kind of sport, right, which has the 5 pillars, of integrity, humility, sportsmanship, etc. These kind of sports example can be used and can be shown to the students to teach them certain concepts, which are related to the topic. Experiential learning, wherein you make the students learn by experience. So when you want to introduce a topic in class, what I feel is you should always start, with a bomb, with a blast in class, using these kind of things, which catch up with the students, very quickly, right? For storytelling also, you can show them, a clip from a movie or a clip from a documentary, maybe, from any of the OTT platforms which are available, and you can ask them, okay, what are the inferences they draw from the same, right? Integrating drama in the classrooms, things like, role play, tableau, role on the wall, all these techniques can be used, to make the class very first class, very, very interesting. Okay, so always make sure that when you're creating your lesson plan, you're adhering to one or other concept, of the NEP, which focuses on the practicality and the holistic development of the students. Okay, introduction should always be fun. At least the first 1 or 2 classes, should always cater to the students, in a manner that everybody is able to catch up, with whatever you're trying to teach them. Okay. uh Teachers, I'm changing the message to personal chat. You can only message me and nobody can watch the chat, in the group, because teachers are getting disturbed, right? It's actually very important for you to pay attention at this point of time, because rather than asking questions which are, out of the topic right now, maybe try and ask something, in the topic, so that, we all can connect with the same and we don't waste any time. Okay. Any problem with the certificates, any problem with the smart teacher festival, etc., please connect with the support team of the homework app, and we'll discuss more about the same during the end of the webinar. Okay. Sample lesson plan, Gurjit ji, I'm not allowed to share any samples as well, but what I'll do is I'll show you a dummy lesson plan, okay, which I have picked up from one of the very reputed universities of Bangalore. Okay, I can't use the name again because I'm bound by certain rules, but yeah, I'll show you the same. Okay, a dummy lesson plan. I'll show all of you during the end of the webinar. Exactly, Meenakshi ji. What I'm saying is very important, because everything is a part of the NEP, indirectly or directly, and I want all the teachers to hear that when you create your lesson plans, it's 21st century and it's 2022. NEP 2020 already came, and the CBSE is closely following the same. Okay. I have had individual webinars on each of these topics before as well. If you want to watch, you can watch on the homework app channel in the YouTube. Okay, the sessions are recorded and they are posted there. But yeah, for the introduction, try and follow these concepts, from the NEP, because it's very important that you integrate, some part of it into your lesson plans as well. Okay, just give me 1 minute. I'm getting an important call. Yeah, all right. Very sorry for the interruption. Okay. The second process, or the second step for the creation of a lesson plan is basically teaching the crux. So पहला क्या हो गया? Introduction हो गया. You should know how to introduce the topic to the class using some or the other aspect of the NEP 2020. Okay. Then you teach the crux. Now, after you have introduced the topic in the class, second question obviously will be how to teach the core of the chapter. The chapter has around 10 different concepts, and how to teach that. Certain ideas for the same are on the screen right now. Okay. Summarize the entire content in the first, second class itself, so that students have an idea what to expect out of the lesson and the classes. Divide the content into small parts, very important, and attach activities accordingly for post classes. Okay. Teach 1 or 2 parts every class as per the number of hours in hand for the chapter, and make sure that you include the practice of homework after teaching the parts. Also, align the homework to the parts taught and make it a mix and match of case study, case-based questions, MCQs-based questions, subjective, objective type of questions, quiz type questions, so that students become handy with the same and are not fearful, before the boards. Okay. So second part is, when you are about to teach the crux, of the chapter, it's very important for you to divide the same into small parts. Okay, don't keep very big goals, for yourself and for the students, because both will face problems to catch up. Okay, so it's very important that agar I am teaching lesson A and I have divided the lesson A into 6 parts, the 6 parts, should be attainable in nature and should be relevant as per the number of hours I have assigned to them. All right. Again, the practice of homework is something, which the teachers ignore in today's, time, but it's very, very important. Either in the last 10 minutes of the class, give the students gamified quizzes, on the spot made, questions, regarding the particular topic you taught to the students, so that they are able to recapitulate that, okay, this was taught in the class and, where I'm going wrong. It's very important that after each class, you give them a practice set, not 20 questions. 5 to 10 questions are more than enough. Give them practice sets after each class to solve at home or to solve in the class, maybe in groups or maybe individually. And since I was telling you all about, particular application which I have in hand, which can help you all to create, all these kinds of questions we talked about, in the NEP 2020, the case based, the MCQs, objective, subjective, quiz, gamification, Bloom's taxonomy, etc., free of cost. Here is the application on the screen. Okay, the homework app. Okay, it's a free of cost application which can help you create questionnaires or quizzes or question sets on the topic in just 30 seconds. And I'm not exaggerating, it's actually 30 seconds. The questions are pre-typed in the application. You have a chance to select questions, from a question bank of 7 to 8 lakh pre-typed questions, and more are added every day. Moreover, the app aligns very closely with the NEP 2020 and is a reliable tool to use in this particular period. I'll just show you a very short 5 minutes demo for the same, so that if some of you aren't using the homework app, you get an idea that there is this application which we can use, and closely aligns with the NEP 2020 to make our students, stand out in the world today and to make them practice more. Every class you can create, question sets for 60-70 students in just 30 seconds to 1 minute and send it to the students. Reports are auto-generated, MCQ type questions are auto-corrected. You can see the number of scores, how many students have attempted, and everything in the application. Just give me 1 minute and I will share my screen with all of you, okay? Just give me 1 minute. This app is a very handy tool, especially for today's session. Free of cost application and tool which you all can use. Just a minute. All right, I hope you all can see my screen, teachers. And I have opened the homework app on my screen. It's completely free of cost, no charges, charged to the teachers. Okay. Yes, the homework app doesn't work on iPhone or desktop. It can be used on Android as of now, but later these versions will soon come for all the classes. Okay. Example of experiential learning, Balji ji, you tell your students to create, an erupting volcano model and bring it to class. You take the students on a field trip. That is again an example, of, okay, 1 minute, what is happening? That's again an example of experiential learning, Balji ji. Okay, okay, 1 minute, something is wrong. Let me check. I'll share my screen again. Something went wrong. So yeah, we were talking about this one application, which can give you all the type of questions NEP 2020, CBSE, NCERT, they're making so much hype about, right? I'll show you first the case study based questions, the MCQs, the subjective and the objective type of questions. Okay. You can see there's a help button also which the app gives you. So any problem, just read the support section of the application. Okay. Content is available from standard 1 to standard 10 for all the subjects, along with all the particular type of questions which we discussed. 11th and 12th are under development, but some subjects I think like mathematics are available, but you have to check the same. Okay. Again, Let's say if I choose class 10, okay, I choose class 10 for mathematics, okay, and I want to give my students in the class of mathematics standard 10 case-based questions. So what I will do is on the screen only, okay, on the basis of the classes I have created, the homework app will show me various subjects and various examples of the same. So as a teacher, if you want to create a new class, if you teach, let's say standard 10, okay, you can see on the screen, you can select your class right here. Standard 10 hai, subject is mathematics, let's say my board is CBSE, medium is English only, right? Continue. Okay, section is, let's say my section is E, my class strength is 50 and my academic session is 2022-2023. In a very simple step, my class for standard 10 mathematics section E is created. Okay, now I'll go to my class of 10E. I will click on my class of 10E, and after clicking on my class, the app will ask me that for standard 10 mathematics, what do you want? Auto created quizzes, you want worksheets, you want to create your worksheets manually, you want quiz, PDF assignment, etc. I will say I want to use question bank. Question bank kya hai? App has its own question bank of 7 to 8 lakhs pre-typed questions for every subject and from different books across. Okay, so when I go to question bank, you all can see the question bank for standard 10 mathematics, right? Here, if you want to give case-based questions, you can see a book on case study. You can click on that book. Okay, after you click on that book, you can select case study questions from any of the chapters. Okay, let's say coordinate geometry is there. Okay, I select the case study questions. Now you can see teachers, everybody who was example me, what is the example of case study questions? These are how case study questions are, as you can see on the screen. And you can make these questions in the forms of MCQ and subjective. So I'll just click on add whatever case based questions I want. I'll click on the add option. Okay, let's say after adding case study questions, I want to give my students also questions based on assertion reasoning. As you can see on my screen, there's a book on assertion reasoning questions. Okay, assertion reasoning questions may I went and I'll click on, let's say, the chapter polynomials. I'll click on assertion reason type questions. I want MCQ or subjective. I can change the options as per my convenience, and I can click on the add button. I request all the teachers to just give me 5 to 10 minutes more, okay, or just 5 minutes at least. Just cooperate with me, and I'll send you the attendance link very, very soon. Okay, I'll just click on add, the add button. And yeah, once I'm satisfied that these many type of questions I want to give, the Bloom's taxonomy, or assertion based, value based, case study based, all type of questions you can select, and make your homework. Let's say I add a few questions from value based questions also. Okay, so I add questions from here and here. Now you can see my total questions are 7, right? Out of the 7 questions, I'll check now all the questions. Do I want, or do I want to remove something? I have value based, assertion, MCQ, subjective, all the questions are here. If I'm satisfied, I click on the next button. I click on the next button and I click on create homework. If you feel the date, time, deadline, everything is okay, which you can also change, from here. Okay, you can set your own deadlines as well. And then you click on create homework. Okay, after clicking on create homework, your homework is created. Now you click on share homework. One thing about this particular app is you can share the homework directly, okay, via WhatsApp, or you can copy paste the link and you can share it in the messages, Google chat, or Google Classroom, or in the live classroom as well. So since everybody knows how to use WhatsApp, you click on WhatsApp, automatically the link will be sent to the particular group you want. If you want to copy and share the link anywhere, I'll just say let's share the link in my messages. Okay, so as a teacher, what I did, I created in 30 seconds, okay, all the questions, I selected which I wanted, and I created a homework to send my students. Okay, I click on the paste option and I click on send. This is the kind of message, your students will see if you send on WhatsApp or anywhere. Okay, this is the kind of, pattern which your students will see. That class is 10, subject is maths, name is case study, assertion, and value-based questions. And what your students have to do is link to the homework. As a student, I will click on link to the homework. Okay, as soon as a student, I click on link to the homework, this will quickly take me to the homework page. Now I'm a student from 10A only, let's say. I'll confirm my identity. And yes, this is the homework screen, you can see. Okay, so here is the homework which we created, case study, assertion, and value-based questions. And the students can click on the homework, and you can see they can attempt the same. Okay, you can see how it's coming, MCQs are MCQs, Subjective will come in the form of subjective, and yeah, all the questions are here. Okay. The students can't see the answers. Okay, if you want, you can change that option. If you want your students to see the right answer after they, click the wrong one, etc. So this is how the homework will basically appear for students. And as teachers, when you go back in the application, you can also see the statistics here. As you can see, the number is 1 here, 1 out of 50. So one student, you can see Harsha Agarwal has viewed the assignment. The app will give you notifications which student has seen, how many have submitted, how many are yet to be corrected. You can see the reports option from where you can download the leaderboard or the reports for every student and send them individually or the groups as well. Okay, you can see the submissions as well to be corrected in all submissions. So yeah, this is the kind of system which the application gives you, all free of cost. Again, as I said, no charges incurred or levied for the same. Yeah. uh, Not wasting any further time, I just wanted to show you all this application, which is very handy for the boards, especially the NEP 2020 as of now, right? So teachers, just 5 more minutes. I promise after that, we'll send the feedback link, to all of you, okay? So yeah, we discussed 2 steps as of now. First is the introduction plan of the lesson plan, right? And the second is the teaching the crux, how to teach the crux. And wherein I showed you that you can make use of the homework app, right, to give them homeworks after each and every part, or each and every, crux, of the lesson. Okay. Third step of a lesson plan is feedback and assessment. Okay. So feedback and assessment, what is it? You can make use, as I already told you, type forms and Google forms and make it very interactive and colorful with 5 to 6 basic questions, so that you can understand, if the students want to comment, on your teaching style or something they want to be changed. And for themselves also, the forms will be a realization for the student, which are the parts they are lacking in, right? So that's very, very important to understand. Okay. Also make sure students access, themselves as well, assess themselves as well. Make the last class a quiz class, a quick GD class, like a rapid fire round, etc. Always characterize each and every lesson with a fun element, at the end. Maybe during the end of each classes, the last 10 minutes, as I told you earlier, can be a quick interactive quiz class, a game class, a self-assessment class, or maybe during the end of the lesson, after 10 or 12 hours of lesson, when you complete it, keep 1 hour, for these kind of activities, group discussions, rapid fire rounds. Give them pointers, small gifts, like, gifting them a pen or a book. It motivates students, and it's very important to inculcate a certain set of motivation, aspect also in your lesson plans. Again, everything very closely aligning with the NEP 2020 directly or indirectly. So you have to make sure your students learn practically, your students learn traditionally, and everybody is able to catch up with the style you are choosing to teach. Okay. And the last step in creating the lesson plans out of the 4 steps is corrective actions. Okay. So corrective actions may, okay, I'll just see the chat box once again. Okay, I will make the chat open for all once again, everyone and anyone directly. Thank you so much for all the comments which you gave for the webinar. Means a lot. I'm going to show you the sample lesson plan after this slide. Just 1 more minute, okay? Make sure you take feedbacks constructively. So if any student is telling that, teacher, I'm not able to understand what you're teaching, make sure as a person you take it constructively and do not take out any grudges, against the students later. Okay. And accordingly, do make changes, in your teaching style, and techniques as well. Give homeworks, a lot of homeworks, just 5 to 10 questions each time, to make your students assess themselves, and so that you also know, kitne pani mein hai, what we say, right? See that how much students have actually caught up to whatever you have taught. And based on the same, you can have your own doubt sessions as well. Okay, make sure to keep at least 2 classes at the end of each lesson as a doubt session. Yes, teachers, in your lesson plan, start integrating doubt sessions as well. Keep out of 14 to 15 hours, keep 2 hours for doubt session. And how you can keep the doubt session is when you take regular feedbacks from student on a daily basis. On the basis of the feedback, on the basis of the topic they want you to cover again, you can plan your doubt sessions, right? And teach the students those concepts again, so that they're clear, before you move on to the next topic or chapter. And this also helps in the, retention of interest of the students in class. And here is a model lesson plan which I have on the screen. Everyone, thank you so much, everyone, for the comments. It really, really means a lot. Uh, I'm very sorry. I'm just presenting the screen again. Okay. Yeah, here is a model lesson plan for all of you. You can see there is a unit number. Okay, so the subject is sales here. Okay, the subject is sales, and here are the unit numbers. Here is the unit details. Each unit, which topics you are going to teach, right? And then you can state here that how many weeks you want for the same, or how many hours you want for the same. Week 1, 2, week 3, 4, 4, 5, etc. You can have exercises here. You can see, in some cases teachers have mentioned this is basically a dummy lesson plan which is not completed, right? So you can see how you can mention lecture video presentation, and other activities like storytelling, art integrated learning, etc. So you can mention what exercises you are going to practice for this particular lesson, number of hours you're going to take in week 1 and week 2, how many hours you are going to take for this particular chapter or this particular lesson, and the pedagogy. You can see one section is pedagogy as well. The pedagogy, what is the pedagogical technique you are using? Case discussion hai, simulation hai, presentation hai, lecture hai. All these are your pedagogical techniques which you mention here. And the last is resource and reference detail. What are the resources you are using? Okay, that you are using resource. Let's say here you can see on the screen, right, the books which are mentioned. So what are the resources you are using? What is the support you are taking from other teachers? So this is basically a dummy lesson plan, which I have got from, a particular university. Okay. Rekha ji, CLO and PLO is not valid for the schools. So I'm not going to discuss the same because this is something which I've got from a very affiliated university in Bangalore. I can't take the name because I'm bound by certain rules, but yeah, you can follow this dummy lesson plan, if you want. Okay. Uh, Exercise column, ma'am, as you can see, the first 1 and 2, is filled. Again, as per your own requirements, you can fill all the boxes. Since this is a dummy lesson plan which I got, this is not filled in all aspects, right? Because I can't show you the actual lesson plan of the school. Okay. Yes. 1 minute, Hemalata ji, I just got your question. There are so many messages. I'm getting confused actually. Okay. Does the homework app generate answer key for descriptive questions also? Descriptive questions, yes, ma'am. All the answers are mentioned, in 1 or 2 lines. And if they're not mentioned, they will at least give you the topic, the crux of the topic. Okay. No, students don't need to install the homework application at all. They can just, click on the link and attend the homework. Okay. Also, teachers, give me 1 minute. I'm sending you the link for your certificate. Okay. Fill that link. It's 7:11. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. 7:11 p.m. Fill that link. It's open till 7:25 p.m. And post which within 24 hours, you will all be getting your certificates via your email IDs. Okay. Just give me 1 minute. I'll share the feedback form link. Okay. Okay. Teachers, before I share the link with all of you, before I share the link with all of you, I'll quickly display my screen and show you how can you fill the feedback form and the attendance link. And yeah, so you don't have any confusion. This is the attendance form, teachers. I'll share the link after I show you how to fill it. Okay. You click on the start button. The first thing it will ask is your name. Okay. You click on OK. Second thing it will ask you is your phone number. So I enter this phone number here. Okay. The third thing it will ask you is the email ID. So you enter your email ID. Fourth thing it will ask you is your gender. Mine is female, so I click on OK. Fifth, it will ask you your school. You click on OK. What are you? I'll just say tutor. I'll click on OK. Is your homework? Do you want to use homework app officially for your school and institute free of cost? If you are interested, you say yes. Okay. These are the summary of your details. As you can see, if there's any problem in the same, you can go back with the form arrows and correct. If you think the details are correct, you click on the continue option. Okay, has your school started after summer holidays? Yes. If it hasn't started, click on no. And this is one option which you will get during the end of the form. Okay, do you want to participate in the Smart Teacher Festival of the homework app? If you want to participate in the Smart Teacher Festival, earn a Smart Teacher certificate, which is an official certificate by the app, and a reward which is worth rupees 1,999. You have to click on the option yes. If you don't click on the option yes, you will not get the option to join the WhatsApp group. Okay. and you click on the submit button. After you click on the submit button, and if you click yes to the Smart Teacher Festival, you will get this option of joining the festival group. Okay. If you want to participate in the Smart Teacher Festival, everyone, and earn a reward worth rupees 2,000 and an official certificate, you have to click on yes in the form before you submit. And then you will get the option of join the festival group. So you will join a WhatsApp group if you click on this button. Okay. So if you are interested to participate, do click on yes and join the festival group. Otherwise, you can click on no, click the submit button. You all will get your certificates within 24 hours via emails. I hope I am clear, everyone. Am I clear, everyone? I just want a response from all of you. Did you understand that how to join the WhatsApp group? And if you join the WhatsApp group, you are basically participating in the Smart Teacher Festival. If you are not interested, you click on no and you click the submit button. Certificates will reach to you after clicking the submit button also within 24 hours via email. Okay. Teachers, please stop messaging. I'm not able to send the form link. Okay, yeah. Here's the form link in the chat box, everyone. Oh my God. Here's the form link in the chat box. It's open till 7:25 p.m. after which the team will not accept any more responses. Okay, please do fill the same. Again, if you participate in the Smart Teacher Festival, a very basic question will be what you have to do. Okay. Yeah, this form link is for certificates. Okay. If you fill the form and click on the submit button, certificate you will get. But if you want to do something extra, earn an official certificate and a reward, if you don't click on yes, you can fill the form again, Vandaji. Okay. Thank you everyone for the comments. Do join our next sessions as well whenever we are having, and we'll meet again. Okay, here is the form link. And yeah, what you have to do is, it's here on the screen. Okay, if you participate in the Smart Teacher Festival, you have to join the WhatsApp group. That is the first step. Okay, after you join the WhatsApp group, you have to create a minimum of 3 assignments using the homework app. And creating the 3 assignments, you have to get at least 30 submissions overall for the 3 assignments. So you create 3 assignments using the homework app, you send it to your students, and overall 30 submissions you have to get. And after that, you can see the auto-generated reports and help students by sending them the reports. Okay. Thanks, Seema ji. Always, your comments are very, very motivating, ma'am. It's a free festival. It's a free festival, Devasena ji. It's completely free of cost, this particular festival. If you want to participate, you have to just join the WhatsApp group. And secondly, you have to do this, which is on the screen. Okay. Okay, link problem. Okay, wait, I'm sending the link again. Yeah, here's the form link again, everyone. Okay, so this is all you have to do, to participate in the Smart Teacher Festival. And the team will send you leaderboards. Okay, as you can see, leaderboard updates will come on the group daily. Every day the team will send you how many teachers have started the homework, how many submissions, and everything will come on the group itself. So do join the WhatsApp group if you want to participate in the same. Thank you.